Hello and welcome to another edition of Choose to Challenge. I am LaWanna Bradford, your host. And Choose to Challenge, for those of you who are joining for the first time, was actually born out of the international women's movement entitled Choose to Challenge. And the purpose is to elevate and expand your mindsets, your opportunities, your possibilities by eliminating those things that are restricting you from being the best you that you can be. And today I have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine, Miss Constance Connie Wills. I'm used to just calling her Connie, Miss Constance Connie Wills. And I want to bring her on as I get ready to introduce this amazing woman. How's it going, Connie?
Wonderful, LaWanna. I'm doing just great. Just great here in hot Tucson, Arizona, but I'm doing good. I'm in the AC. In the AC, so I'm good.
I hear you. I'm coming at you from Atlanta, Georgia, and we have a heat advisory today. So,
I can only imagine with that
world.
humidity. Oh, yes. Ooh.
Yeah, the humidity, and it's brutal. But we're here, and yes. Thank God for air conditioning, right?
Yes, thank God, right? Truth be told, a few years ago, our AC went out on the 4th of July. Bad. It was horrible.
I can't imagine. Well, I want to tell the audience a little bit about you. Thank you for joining us. I know you were on the platform, 2 years ago, but there we were talking about your professional career as a senior probationary officer. So Connie is she's retired now. 2 years ago, she retired, 34 years as senior probation officer with the Pima County court system in Tucson, Arizona. She's a military brat, traveled the world with her parents, born in the UK, and she has a passion for discovery. So what does that mean? Well, since she retired 2 years ago, she also hit a major milestone, the big 6-0, and she's become a new grandma, another grandbaby on the horizon, and life has just unfolded in very unique ways for her. And during this time, as we all go through our changes in life, it's been a point of discovery and challenging herself with, who is Connie? What do I stand for? What's important to me? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? How do I want to show up? And that's what this conversation is going to be about. And she has a mission that she is going to be starting, because she's already titled it. So we're speaking it into existence, Beauty Beyond the Wall, Discovering the Real You. So welcome, Connie, again.
Thank you so much, LaWanna. I appreciate all those kind and wonderful words. I appreciate them. Thank you so much.
You know, I was thinking back, we've known each other forever.
Yes. More than a lifetime. Yes.
Over 40 years. It's hard when I say that. I'm like, wow, really? But over 40 years, we met in our freshman year in college. And I think you could say, because I know for me, if you had told me that I wasn't this confident, secure, self-aware young woman, I would have challenged you. And you have always come across to me as you knew who Connie was. You knew who she was, what she stood for, and how you were going to show up. But in the last 2 years, you started unpackaging some things. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yes. So after I retired, I really felt lost. And it's sort of funny that you say that, because other people have told me the same thing. You always look like you had it all together. Well, I knew how to make that presentation. I learned that, and I know you know from your parents as well, LaWanna, we learned how to make the presentation. We made it look right. Even if we didn't feel right all the time, we made it look right. So after I retired, I just sort of felt lost. I felt like, what am I going to do now? What's my purpose? I'm still young. I could still do stuff. I didn't want to get back into full-time employment with the government or anything. So sort of sat in the house, twiddled my thumbs a little bit, and I came across a group on Facebook. Actually, it wasn't a group, it was an announcement about a master class about finding purpose after 50. And so I just signed up for it. And those 5 days were some of the most transformational days of my life. Taught me how to recalibrate my mind, refocus, recalibrate, just recommit, restart. It taught me so many things. And I was able to start. Then I got in a community with people who were like-minded. And I started working on myself and unpacking things. And I got a life coach, which is always good to have a mentor coach. And it was me unpacking stuff that I had never really looked at before, why I didn't go the places I needed to go. I'm talking about even professionally, personally, why was I scared? What was the fear about? Where did that come from? So I started unpacking. And then I realized, well, we learned about this too, but I realized it's all about mindset. It's what's in your subconscious mind. It's what you're thinking, what has been programmed in there that we're not even aware of because we're so used to the patterns and the habits that we do. We don't know how detrimental they could be to us actually. And we don't know that it's really, what I was taught, I was brought up in the church, been in church all my life, but I was never taught to be unique and authentic. And that's something that I have been exploring lately, been going through layers. Some of it's painful, been taking out some things. Why do I think this way? Why do I act this way? Why do I think this way? I went all the way back to probably 10 years old or maybe a little before that and started unpacking some mindsets and things that even were told to me that made me react the way that I did as an adult. And that's why I talked about mindset, forgiveness, resentments, letting those things go. So that was the start of it.
When you were talking, it made me think of the psychologist Maslow, and he talked about Maslow's looking glass self. And it says, and this is probably one of the biggest lessons I learned when we were at the University of Arizona together, but he said, you're not who you think you are. You're not what other people say you are. You are what you think other people say you are. So it goes back to mindset, right? I'm being programmed by whatever this outside chatter is. Now, if I discount it, if I don't believe it, it can't take root. But once I believe it, then it becomes a thought, right?
Yes.
Thoughts become things, right? Because it starts to just germinate in your spirit. And that's what I hear you saying is things were buried so deep, you didn't know that they're there, right? That's why it's our blind spots. It's our subconscious. But as you start to unpeel layers of that onion, then you get a little glimpse, and then you got to dare to go a little bit deeper, right? And sometimes it can be painful, especially, and I want you to talk about this because you and I shared this yesterday. And I know you know how to handle it gingerly, but even when it's our parents who we love and we treasure, and they are our first mentors. Our parents are our first mentors. We look at them, they are like gods to us. We're little bitty, we're blank slates. But sometimes they put their lived experiences or their lack of lived experiences on us. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely. I fully agree with that. LaWanna. We both come from 2-parent families, and happy anniversary to your parents. I'm going to say it on camera because I sent you a text yesterday, but happy anniversary to them, 69 years. Oh my gosh. But my parents, 71 years. So we came from those kind of families, and both of our families were in the church, etc. So we came from that. But I do believe, yes, my mother and my father were my first examples. And at that time in life, I was so shy when I was younger. I was just up under my mother. But my mother, I guess from her experiences, didn't really know how to teach me how to be the confidence that I needed, the things I needed to get to move forward in life. I think one of them was my voice. I never felt like my voice was heard because what were we taught? Children are to be seen, not heard. So that went a long way with me. That followed me through life a lot of times. Things like that, just the fact of our mothers are both very fashionable and they're very very appearance conscious. So my mother was, the appearance was really important. It still is to her, but it was very important. So we had to always look the perfect part. Even if there were things going on in the family, we would never ever speak about them outside the family because we had to always appear to be perfect. And that was something that came with me. So even when I might have been feeling torn down at times in my life, I still had to appear to be perfect. So I'm so glad you asked that question because I just had an aha moment that is part of the reason why people said you looked like everything was okay, because that was put in me. That always the appearance to be perfect, but not the real me, not what I was feeling, not feeling like screaming out or crying or whatever. I had to hold that stuff in because I had to be perfect. And that was just an aha moment for me. So yeah, our upbringing, and even our upbringing, and then when we start to become free, we start to become who we are, we start to become authentic. A lot of times that puts a barrier in our communication with our parents, especially at this age. They're in their 80s and 90s, and you know there's a communication thing now because my mother hasn't met this me. She's never met this side of me, who this person is. So sometimes I know she questions, like, what in the world's going on to her with her? What I've heard her even say it. What kind of a cult is she in now? So, so yes, it was because I am changing. I'm evolving. I'm becoming the person I really am supposed to be. And I get it. A change is hard. It's always hard. But we have to have transformational willingness. And I'm glad that I have that. But thinking back how we were raised, our mothers, our father, my father back then, I think my father was more of just the provider, monetarily, house, clothes, food. So we didn't have a close relationship, myself and him back then. But my mother was the one that I was up under all the time. So that's where I got a lot of probably pretty much all of my ideas and attitudes and things like that from her. I really picked a lot of those up. Like you said, in our formative years, we do pick those up from our parents. And so those things, I mean, just keep stuff under the rug. Don't let anybody know. Don't let anybody know how you're feeling. Don't let anybody know. Don't let them know. They're not supposed to know. And the church culture at that time, it was totally against mental health, right? So going to a counselor or anything was just unheard of. Take it to Jesus. But we need to take that to a therapist too sometimes. But
Yeah.
we were taught.
Let's pause right
Yeah.
there because you've said a lot, and I want to sit in the mental wellness for a second.
Uh-huh.
So you're right with the church, with different religions. It's like, okay, like you said, take it to God. You pray. You take it to your prayer closet. You keep that, and all will be well. Or within our culture, especially the African American culture, that's taboo. You don't talk about any issues. You're stronger than that. I heard many times, you're a Bradford. Come on, get over it. Well, sometimes you can't get over it because you don't even have the tools to process. You don't know what to do. It's new to you. And I know for me, I would hear, LaWanna, you act like you're the only one in the world that's gone through this. Well, it's for me, yes, I am the only one because it's my life, right? So I think in what you're going through now in this discovery and finding your voice, it gives people the liberty and freedom to also find their voice and express themselves and express their truth, especially when they're in a place of pain or darkness, right? Because we can't help each other out if we're not transparent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you mentioned you got your mom,
Mm-hmm.
and you have your dad. And, we're blessed to have parents as old as our parents are. And they're still with us and we're still engaging with them. But you mentioned possibly both of them, but you did lean to your mom. She doesn't know this new you. I want to challenge you with this and see what you say. This is Choose the Challenge.
Okay.
Is this the new you? Or was this always you that was suppressed by your lived experience?
Perfect question. Thank you. This is the me that was suppressed by my lived experience. I'm calling her new because I really haven't met her necessarily. She was in there, but I haven't really met her because she was covered with all of those experiences. She was covered with all the words. She was covered with all the hiding emotions. She was discovered. She was in there. And that's part of the platform. Thank you so much, because that is part of that beauty behind the wall. She's got to be freed. We got to knock that wall down. But that is definitely the truth. That is the woman that was always there, but she was suppressed because of lived experiences. Perfect. Perfectly said.
You also mentioned fear. And I think we can mask, and definitely like to get your thoughts on this. We can mask our fear with this projection of being confident or being a perfectionist, whatever it is. But deep down, what's stopping us or stifling us is this fear and insecurity. Can you walk me through just that in your journey?
Definitely. I was always the one that did not want to take chances because I had fear that I would fail at it. And I didn't want to be judged for failing. So that fear went a long way, because it kept me from moving places that I should have maybe moved, or doing things that I should have maybe done. Because if I failed at it, then I'm looked at as a failure, and that rolls right back to the fear. So, so that the journey with that, I am still uncovering layers to that, with that fear. Even now that I'm doing like talks and things online, there was such a fear of even doing it, even getting up there and saying anything. And I think 2 years ago when I was on this show, the first time, I was so terrified, LaWanna. I was terrified. And you even gave me questions beforehand, and I didn't have a clue what I was just scared. I was scared. And so, and I wasn't going to talk off the cuff, but I had to, because I didn't remember, and my mind was doing all sorts of crazy things. But even before that and after that, I was still fearful. But a little bit after that, and I would start watching you. I watched you a lot then. I started watching things that you did and watching your story. And that actually helped me to understand, look, girl, you don't know how to be scared. And then when I got with this community, Defining Purpose After 50, and my coach at that point, and he challenged me to get on Facebook Live or recorded for 14 days straight and talk. He said about anything. It can be a minute, it can be 20 minutes, it can be whatever, but get on there and talk. He said, just do it. Even if you make a mess of it, it doesn't matter. Make a mess, but do it. And I remember something you said very similar to that. Just get on there, make a mess, and just do it. And so I started just doing it. And yes, I made a mess. I remember I made a big deal about a pimple I had one time, and I was trying to angle the camera and that was a crazy fear, but it was a fear of being judged, a fear because of the beauty standards put on us as women in this society. And I'm not just saying in this country, but in this society in general, the beauty standards. So I think that's a lot of fear, how we even present ourselves. That has to do with the fears that we have about the rejection or the comments or things we're going to have. So I carried that thing with me probably a good 50 years, carried that fear in that big old bag of crap that I've been dragging along with me. I carried it. So now I've opened that wound up. I've opened it up, and stuff's pouring out, right? It has to heal. But I do believe fear has a place, and I believe it has a place to push us, to let us know you can do that. A little bit fear, a little bit nervousness. Yeah, that's okay, because we know we're doing something different. We're stepping into a different area, but we have to know within ourselves, that real authentic self, I can do this. And if I make a mess of it, oh, well, it's a mess, but I still did it. So I'm not sure if I totally answered your question, but let me know.
No, yeah, yes, you did. And what you're saying is so powerful. And to our listening audience, we're here with Constance Wills, and we're talking about Beauty Beyond the Wall. And what you just said is, it's like feel the fear and do it anyway. We're going to be apprehensive. We're going to question ourselves. But imagine going through life wondering, what if I had? I was talking to my dad, who God willing, we'll see 94 next month. And I asked him, I said, Dad, is there anything left on your bucket list? And I'm assuming there would be. And he said, no. And I paused. I'm like, what do you mean, no? He said, I have done everything I've ever wanted to do. Connie, I can't say that right now. I'm nowhere close.
Wow. Me neither.
And I thought, God, I want that. I want to be 90 plus years old, enjoying my life and saying, you know, if I do anything new, that's all gravy. But I charted the path I wanted to take and I hit every mark. But I'm not there. And it brings me back to what you were saying, this fear, right? Fear holds us back, causes us to be paralyzed, petrified. We don't move. Or let's bring up, we're going to take a quick break and I want to come back and I want to go into the church conversation. I love God. I love my faith. But sometimes the church can be that wall around us. We'll be right back. We are back with Connie Wills, and we are talking about beauty beyond the wall, discovering the real you, discovering the real you. And we talked about a lot of things from our relationship with our parents, discovering ourselves, life changes. We ended in fear, but we touched a little bit about our faith or the church. And I want to turn this over to you, Connie, because like you said, we both grew up in the church, and our faith is our faith. It's our essence. But when you are in man's definition of domination and of domination versus the dominion we are supposed to have as God impressed upon us, it can cause us to not be all that he created us to be. So I hope that makes sense. So when I'm talking to our listening audience, when I say domination, I'm talking about the denominations of faith versus the dominion that we were called to have in our life and the life around us. Connie.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, we were, and I was raised in a Pentecostal Christian denomination. So I was raised in a certain type. And really church was everything. Church was my life. Besides school, I would be at church so often. Then we had the YPWW, we had the kids ministries, we had revivals, we had everything in the summertime. And thinking back, I do not remember, and this is pretty sad that I'm saying this, maybe not, it's the truth. I do not remember anything being put into me during all that time that would make me a successful adult in the world, really. I didn't remember that, but I remember a lot of, praising, dancing, hollering, shouting, tambourine playing, preaching. I remember a lot of that. I also remember a lot of people there in a suffering state in my church. And, God did not put us here to be in a suffering state. He put us here. God made us perfect. He had a plan for us before we were even created. He already had a plan, and he made us perfect. He made us to be able to have dominion over our lives and everything in our lives. But he made that it was already a plan. God created this world He planned it. He created it. He created people. He planned everything in our lives, and it was to have dominion over ourselves, over our world, etc. But I do remember in the church that I came from, a lot of people in a suffering state all the time. And they would get up Sunday after Sunday and testify about what they don't have, what they don't have. And you know what we speak, what's in our subconscious mind and what we keep speaking out, it becomes a reality. It is our reality. So I would be doing the same thing. And I didn't realize until recently that I spoke my reality when I was younger. I spoke the reality I would have when I was older. And God did not create it that way. We should have been speaking victory. We should have been speaking financial success, life success, all those things, but we were not speaking that. We were always praying, and talking about the hard times and the bad times. And, you know, God going to deliver me from this, or I can't pay my light bill. I remember all that kind of stuff. And that's what I grew up under. And I remember that. And now that I'm thinking back again, I can see why my life took turns that it did, because I did not even know. I always say, don't blame the old you for what happened. You can't look back. You cannot redo that, nor do you want to, really. Don't blame that old you. Respect her and accept her for what happened and love her anyway. But the new you can do so much more. You don't have to live her anymore. Yes, she went through all the issues she went through. She did, but that's okay. Let her know it's okay. But guess what? We've got a new mindset now. We are going to conquer life in general. We're going to conquer the road ahead. We are going to put positive stuff in our subconscious. We are going to think we're the head, not the tail, but really believe it. Because we used to say that in church all the time, I'm the head and not the tail, I'm above and not beneath. Those people would be beneath still. They would be beneath with their physical bodies, with their mental states, with their jobs, with their lives, with their homes, with their children. They would be beneath anyway, although they'd be trying to speak it, you know? So now I know it's not just what comes out of this, it's what you believe in your subconscious, your heart, your spirit. It's what you believe. And then you will see your life start changing. I'm looking for, just like you said, I was amazed at your father saying that. That's awesome. I have so many things in life I haven't done either, but they are in there and I'm starting to speak them out. I'm starting to live in that. I'm starting to live as if, walk as if, act as if I'm already there. Act as if I'm already traveling. And you know, we're going to the UK. So I'm acting as if we're already doing it. We are doing that. We're going to the UK. I'm acting as if my life is going to be in a different trajectory now, because I'm acting as if. It's different than the faith I was taught in church. And I still love the Lord. I still, as LaWanna said, my faith is my faith. It's my essence. It's my compass. But I have to move in a different way now. I have to move in a different way. I have to speak in a different way. I have to live in a different way to get to what God already had for me. It's only for me. It's up the road, but it's only for me. No one else can get what's for me. But if I don't do what I need to do, I won't get what's for me. And I won't be saying, like Mr. Bradford said, I've done everything I want to do when I'm in my 90s. But I want to be able to say that. And that, I mean, before I retired, and I'm going to say this really quick, before I retired, one of my coworkers said, do you know one of the things that people in the nursing homes, they questioned a lot of older people in a nursing home, and they asked them about their regrets. And one of the things that they said they regretted the most is listening to what other people said and not living the life they knew they were supposed to live. And I thought about that. That was before I was retiring. That's when I was going to retire when I was 65. I think that sort of helped me say, oh, no, girl, you got to get out of this place. You've got to retire like soon, because I would still been there. But I said, no, we've got to retire. I did not know I would be on this road. I didn't know that I would be, really trying to get my life the place that I need to get it, that I'd be working on mindset like I'm working on my mindset. I didn't know I'd be doing that at that time, but God knew, and he knew the path. He knew that you had to get out of that government job to do what I want you to do. So, yeah.
I believe that right now in the world there is a spiritual revelation that's happening, a spiritual renaissance, if you will, that's happening. When you're looking at quantum physics and mindset and being present, all of these conversations, right, are bubbling up for a time such as this. Mm-hmm. And I believe there's nothing new under the sun. God doesn't change. But for whatever reason, the world is groaning. And he's like, you all are taking dominion. You're not believing what I said. When I said joint heirs, I meant joint heirs. When I said speak to and it will move, I meant speak to and it will move. Right? Like you said, when I said you're the head and not the tail, I meant you were the head and not the tail. And when I said the enemy is your footstool, why aren't you believing it? Because we have been conditioned. I'm speaking to Connie and I, and maybe some others that are in the Christian faith, that there's joy in the suffering. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we know Christ, because of the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. It didn't say he enjoyed suffering on the cross. The joy was, I'm going to rise again. So he was focused on the promise, which gave him the strength to press. But somehow we got it twisted that we should be jumping up and down because we're going through the struggle. No, focus on, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to get a job again. I'm going to remarry, whatever your hope is, and not, woe is me. I don't have anyone in my life. I can't pay my bills. I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, like you said, you start creating the very life you're living. Right?
Yes. That is so true, LaWanna. Yes. Because I can tell you with my thought process, even 10 years ago, I'll just go back that far. Even 10 years ago, with my thought process being where it was and how I was thinking about my life and the woe is me, I'm still single, I'm this, and oh my God, I think at that point I was not healthy. I had not started really my health journey. So I was just like, I'm still single, I'm alone, I'm this, I'm that. And I would allow those thoughts just to get in my mind and dance around, and they lived in there. And the next thing I knew, my whole outlook was that. And people would be asking me, why aren't you married? Why aren't you this? Right? So I realized that the energy, that spirit that I was putting off was attracting that into my life. Even the people questioning me and sort of looking at me. And then even the people that I attracted into my life in general as friends and stuff, I can see now that they were attracted because of the mindset I had. I was attracting exactly what I was thinking. So that's another thing. I am so, I'm so happy that I have found the secret, if you want to call it the secret. And that is, and God had it all along. He knew all along. He probably just said, girl, when are you going to figure this out? You are not living the way I want you to live. You are living way beneath your promises, way beneath them, because of your mindset, because of the way you're thinking, because of the way you've been conditioned, that you have not brought yourself out of that yet. Because praying, getting on your knees and praying for change is not going to do anything until you get up and act on it. And I was taught that you just pray, you tarry all night. Let's fast and pray and let's tarry. Right?
Yeah, be fleecing God.
Yes, right? And when we had it in us, when it's in us all the time, God created us with that in us, that we can do the work to make the money that we need to make the life we need to make. Like you said, we can basically plan our lives and project our lives and live that life.
Yes.
That I didn't know that.
Right. And when we look at what God said, what Christ said when he was on the cross, and he said, it is finished. His work's done. God's done. It's done. He's not going to do anything else, because I
I'm
mean, think
laughing.
about it.
I'm laughing
If
because
again, this is those are that are in the Christian faith, or maybe looking at your other religions. If you have the God seed in you, it's like we are of our parents, our earthly parents. Well, there's a Harlan and Bessie Bradford in me. Well, I am more of my divine father than I am of them. And if I know, like he said, my earthly parents are going to do good things for me, how much more is he going to give? Do we really believe that? Are we walking in, like you said, this limited mindset, oh, well, this is as good as it's going to get. I should be happy. I retired. Many people haven't. Really?
yes.
I remember it was a comedian. He was a Christian comedian. It was so funny. And the punchline of the joke was, so many people are going to be shocked when they get to heaven, and God is going to be showing them all of these rooms filled with just amazing things, adventures, actual material things. And they're going to be like, you're going to say, wow, what was all of this? And God's simply going to say, yours if you had really believed.
Wow. That is yes, that's it, LaWanna. That's it. That's why one thing I do tell people on the one platform that I talk on right now, which is Facebook, that what's yours is yours. But you're the only one keeping yourself from getting what's yours because of your mindset, because you are believing all the negative things that were all the scars in your life. You are living for that scar instead of just getting rid of it. And a scar you could have been told at some point, you're just not good enough, or you're never going to afford a house like that. And you allowed that to sit in your subconscious for years and years. And you always thought about, whenever you see that wonderful house, oh, I can never afford a house like that. I can never get that. No, okay, never mind. What do you got that's less? And then you go to option B, because that's what the devil does. He's option B and C. He's never option A.
Right, but think about it. I got to say this real quick, Connie. Yeah. The option B and C always comes before option A. And you think it's like, this is it. Yes. And you jump before it was time.
And they're easier, right? Option B and C, or there's something that you think you can obtain in whatever mindset you're in. It's not that. It's not the mindset that you should be in necessarily, but you think, okay, I'm gonna obtain that and that. Because when we were kids, we had dreams. Dreaming is something that I'm really doing again, because I had so many dreams when I was younger, and they just seemed grandiose. And I was told, oh no, that's only for the rich people. That's only for that. No. That's like, God don't want you to do that. God wants to. I used to think God wanted you to live in poverty and squalor the way some people were.
Or did you ever hear you're getting too big for your britches?
Yes, yes. I used to think that, because I'm like, okay, we got to sort of hide the nicer stuff or whatever, because God don't like that. That was one of the biggest lies I'd ever been believing in my life. God has the riches, because going back to the punchline of the joke you said, the riches, the gold, the everything in those rooms that a lot of people will never, ever get to. And that's the tragedy. To me, that's a tragedy.
Right. I want to share this, and this isn't about you, but it affected you, and it affected me. So with our parents, 3 of our parents, your mom and your dad and my dad, this year went through major health crisis. They bounced back. Mm-hmm. That same God that in them that came out, that sustained them, right? Because he's already crucified and died, and by his stripes we are healed. Obviously they believe that, because they're walking it. And I share that example. That same application is for every single thing in our lives. They could have said, wow, well, we're in our 90s. It's been a good ride, and let it go. But they didn't. But how many of us give up on our dreams, give up on living, because we think, well, I guess it's not going to happen. I'm going through this and I guess it's my plight in life. No, health, wealth, abundance, joy, peace, long suffering, fruits of the spirit. I want them. I don't know about you all, but
Yes.
there are inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's God can only say, here it is. Are your hands open or are they closed?
And that is so profound and such a truth. And you know what? You are right. Our parents bounced back at over 90 years old. My mother and my father, my goodness, how many years they have between them? 95 and 92, and your dad almost 94. My God, that's a lot of years lived on this planet. And they still bounced back. God still showed his work through them. And
Yes.
and here we are, complaining, like you said, we complain about not having this, not having that, but it's right there in front of us, but we're not gonna change our mindset, change our lives to make sure we get that or to get that. So we just continue complaining. And I think at this point in my life, I really am trying to people that I speak, I keep my circle pretty small now because I don't want to be around a lot of negativity, a toxicity, negativity, a lot of even negative talk. And that's a lot of people around our age who just act like life is over, and they just all I want to do is just sit down and relax. And, oh, girl, I'm too old to do this, and I'm just like, you're too what? Just beginning. What do you mean you're too old? That was all practice back there. Now you can start thinking and believing and being your authentic self and get the life that you want. You've got time left. What's most important now for us is the time we have remaining, not the time we already spent.
Yes.
The time
Well,
left.
we are almost out of time, Connie. I'm going to allow you to speak directly to the audience. For those of you that want to reach out and connect with Connie, you can. The information is below. You can reach her on Facebook Messenger under Constance Willis, or her email, constantwills at gmail.com. And Connie, I'm just going to give you a few minutes. Any last words of encouragement, hope, inspiration that you'd like to leave with our audience?
First of all, I want to just thank you, LaWanna. This has been awesome. But I want to say mindset matters. Mindset is everything. Mindset is life. You cannot live a prosperous, healthy, happy life without checking your mindset and thinking about it. Are your thoughts powerful or are they suffering? Are your thoughts in abundance or are they lack? Check your thought life throughout your day. Check your thought life. Monitor how you feel going through your day. If you're feeling down, what are you thinking? If you're feeling elated, what are you thinking? Think on those things that keep you in that elevated state. Definitely change your mind. Always study, always have transformational willingness. We are here. We're going to be learning until the day we leave this plane. So learn the things that are going to make you stronger. Learn the things that are going to make your mindset be the positive mindset, and learn the things that are going to help you to move forward in life, and get in those rooms that you need to be in and get the stuff that's there only for you.
I love that. That was great. This was great. Thank you so much, Connie, for joining me on Choose to Challenge. Again, to our listening audience, all of the contact information is below. Please reach out to Connie. I think it's so great when we can find like-minded individuals, but also people who've gone through a similar journey can help us get there farther, faster, right?
Yes.
And to those of you that are joining us on Choose to Challenge, thank you so much for following us. Come back next week for another edition of Choose to Challenge at 6 p.m. Eastern. And just remember that in life and in business, when your vision intersects with opportunity and you believe it, success is inevitable. Until next time, goodbye, everyone.